I'm back. It's me, Tiffany the Budgetnista, your favorite financial educator, and this is Money Glow from Yahoo Finance, where we help you with the misunderstandings you might have about money, honey. And today we're talking about wealth. How do you get it? How do you build it? Is it possible? Is it too late? Is it too early? What should you do? If you want to learn more about wealth, stay tuned. Here's the thing. Most people want to build wealth, but they don't know how. It's something that we all want to accomplish, well, most of us anyway, and we just feel like we don't have the tools. In fact, a Schwab survey found that 36% of Americans have a financial plan, and a LendingTree survey found that only 20% of Americans consider themselves wealthy. Is wealth something that you can get to by yourself? Is wealth something that's attainable? What about where you grew up? What about if you don't have the education? What if you don't have the access? All these things feel so overwhelming, but I'm gonna show you today, whether you're 20 or 220, how to build wealth. You don't have to do it alone because we have someone who's coming to the stew to help both me and you. In the stew today, we have Ashely M, my girl, the beautiful, the talented, the ex-Wall Street analyst, and CEO of Empify. Empify is a financial education firm that's going to help me and you learn to grow wealth. Yes, she's going to teach us wealth building today. Also, did you know that Empify was actually recognized on the Inc. 5000 list as one of the fastest growing company? That's what we have in the studio today. If you're ready to grow wealth, she's going to help me and you do it together. And we're here in the stew with Ashely. Just like I said, we're going to talk about how do you build and keep wealth, because broke is not cute, okay? So Ashely, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, we can tell, I see wealth here. I feel it, I see it.
This is my $1 billion CEO.
Yes,
right here.
It's emanating, right? So, well, first, like me, you teach financial education.
Yes.
So where did that passion even come from?
So, one, I never wanted to run a business. Okay. I always wanted to be a profound African-American woman on Wall Street.
Really?
So I went to Howard University.
Okay, HU.
Yes, and majored in finance. I like math, I like business, and I wanted to make a lot of money, so I'm like, major in finance. Okay. And then I got exposed to Wall Street. They paid a lot of money in the summer during my internships. I realized I want that job. So I worked, when I graduated Howard, I worked in asset management for a really large bank with ultra high net worth individuals. And so if you had at least $25 million, it was our job to help you grow your wealth, protect it, and properly pass it down. And when I would go home to Philly, people thought I was rich. So I'm making six figures, I'm in my 20s, I'm traveling, because I'm doing all the things the wealthy people did. And I'm like, we have no real perception of what true wealth is. And I only know it because I chose this career path. I worked on Wall Street, but I didn't grow up with a lot of money. And I felt like for something we're using every single day of our life, why is it not taught in our school system? And so I always actually wanted to be a teacher.
Really?
But I wanted to make a lot of money, so I didn't go that route. And I decided that I wanted to be the client also. And I felt like sitting on the other end of the table, I needed to create something. And so I think I followed my heart when I left Wall Street. I operated with logic to get on Wall Street, but I did what felt right. And I felt like I wanted to be the woman who could translate Wall Street knowledge and give it to the 99% that Wall Street often overlooks.
Wow, I feel like you're like, I'm not only the client, I'm the player president. Shout out to Biggie. No, so honestly, so my question for you then is, what is it that we're not seeing? Like what are people doing so differently when it comes to wealth that you saw, like from the client perspective, that you're like, that's not actually how it goes?
It's interesting because most people think, oh, we didn't learn it in the school system. And I don't think it's just education. I think when I created my company, Empify, which is the merging of the word empower and modify, it wasn't about money. Okay. Because we're going to give you the education, but what good is education if it lacks inspiration? And what good is education and inspiration if it doesn't cultivate change, which is where modify comes from. And one of the biggest things that I learned is that wealthy people just think different. There is a sense of entitlement. There is a sense of demand. They expect to be wealthy. They expect to protect it, and they move that way. And if you don't see that, or you're around an environment that doesn't cultivate wealth, you don't believe you can have it. So when I'm sitting in rooms and I'm learning more about their portfolio than what they know, I felt like, wait, like, tell me how you got, well, I didn't say that in the meetings, but I researched like, well, how did you build this wealth, right? And I think it's a mindset shift. If you don't grow with wealth, if you're not around wealth, if you're in poverty, your life is a mere reflection of what your thought process is and what you see. And so like, how can I bring a Wall Street experience, give them the tools, the resources that the 1% have, but break it down in a way that the everyday person has? And so I would say the biggest thing is it's not the lack of education, because at this point we have YouTube University, we got, you can learn anywhere, Yahoo Finance, anywhere, but there's a mental barrier that stops us from believing we deserve to have wealth.
Wow, that's really powerful. And you think that should start early. Why do you think this is not taught in school?
Well, I mean, America wasn't designed to help you build wealth. Like, I mean, you're taught, like if you think about it, you're taught to go to school, get a job, and you get a job so you can pay for school and get a great job, and that's okay, right? And that's fine, but I think times are changing. Like, there's different ways you can cultivate wealth, you can make money, and I think the world is asking for more. But when it comes to really, really building wealth and shifting that mindset, the world was not designed that way. So, and people always beat themselves up too. It's like, you weren't taught how to invest. At the dinner table, we don't talk about these things. Now, at a wealthy person's dinner table, that's the conversation, that's the environment. You embody that because that's what you're around. So we have to ultimately shape our mindsets, shift our environments, and unlearn what we have been taught about ourselves and the role of money, and then relearn a new way of life. And so I just think times are different. And I think it's no more blaming anybody. It's about, hey, when I look in the mirror, like I'm sitting here calling myself $1 billion CEO. Mm-hmm. Do I know what to do with $1 billion just yet? No, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to train my mind to walk, talk, and operate like someone who runs $1 billion business. And that takes a level of confidence. It takes a level of security. Not that I don't doubt myself, but I aspire to have more and know that I deserve to have it. And I think if we focus on the deserving factor inside of us, our minds will realize, despite my upbringing, despite the color of my skin, I can create and have whatever I want.
Wow. So it really is that shift. I'm not going to lie. I still struggle. I've grown wealth through my business, you know. I don't know. It's a multi-8-figure business in the last 16 years. And I still struggle with this feeling of like, I used to call myself a baby millionaire. Like, what does that even mean? Because, you know, I was like, I don't want to be a big girl in the you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And so what if someone is watching, what are some critical first steps that someone can to start? So let's do a mindset first step and then logistical, hands-on. So critical mindset first step, you're like, okay, I want to shift past this. What can they do?
Talk to yourself in the mirror.
Okay.
Every day say, I am a wealth builder. And I think we're focusing on the gap. Here's what I have not done. What about the gain? Like if you think about when you mentioned I'm a baby millionaire, think about when you weren't and think about how much you've grown. But I also think we are not designed to know and feel comfortable with something we've never experienced. I remember when I made my first million, I was scared. I didn't know what to do. What if I lost it? But wasn't raised around millions for it to be normalized, right? And so I think the first thing is, it's like learning the new lyrics to a song. You have to subconsciously train your mind. So every day if I'm looking in the mirror, I am a wealth builder. I am $1 billion woman. And I am more than enough. I think so much of us is doubted who we are, our capabilities, and we're defined by the mistakes we made. I'm defined by the dreams I want to create. And sometimes you have to retrain your mind. So I would say, talking to yourself in the mirror. Another thing that I do, so I have a gratitude journal where I write in the front of the book what I am grateful for. But in the back of the book, I write what I am grateful for as if the dreams I aspire to have already happened. So now I am grateful for this $1 billion Empify. I am grateful for a team of 200 plus people. Now, just writing that scares me, but I'm training my mind to normalize that so much that when it comes about, it feels like something that was simple.
I love that. So so now let's talk tactically, right? So now I can start with that mirror work, which I believe works for everything.
Yes.
You know, like you might be feeling like, oh, no, you're beautiful. Mm-hmm. You're worthy. You're married. Whatever it is that you're looking to do. So I believe in that mirror work. So what's some tactical things that people can do to get started to grow well?
I think the biggest thing is to learn to pay yourself first. Okay. Regardless of how much money you do or do not have, make it a priority to pay you. Because when we make our money, we want to buy things. That makes another company rich. We want to go pay down debt. That makes the banking system rich. We want to do all these things, which again, I love spending, but I invest too. So before we go give to anyone or even take care of our families, how about we pay you? So much that we give that money a job. Here, this is what I want you to do. I'm gonna put you over here and invest this, and I'm gonna let you go work for me. I've worked really hard for you, but I want you to work for me. So little things like investing in the stock market. Even when I was so I opened my brokerage account because I saw rich people had brokerage accounts. Mm-hmm. And I was buying what I saw them buying, not telling anyone to do that because I actually made a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. But I started to invest in companies I know, use, and believe in. Because it's a lot easier to research a company you know. And it's even better to research a company and want to own them when you give them your money, which means they exist because of your mere existence. And so getting into a space where I'm challenging myself to own pieces of companies that I give my money to. So getting that brokerage account open, picking a small amount of money, even if it's $20, every 2 weeks to set aside to say, I am worth the investment. I'm going to deposit it automatically so you're not doing the manual work and setting money aside, investing in you and for your financial future. Because there's going to be a point, even if you're a business owner, you're a working professional, that you just want to chill. right? Like, and that is not defined by retirement. It's defined by your age. There was a point in my business where I just was living in Paris. I moved to Paris for like four months. And I just had to figure out who the next version of Ashely was. But I did that off my stocks. But it was because I started doing that in 2012 when I started buying stocks in the stock market. So getting yourself into a space where you are training yourself to create the financial security, the financial ease that you want, investing consistently, and opening that brokerage account, and not saying I don't have enough, not saying I don't have time, not saying I'm scared. We are going to figure it out, because investing is not an option anymore. Saving and spending money, we got that down, right? But we all know saving, owning a home, or spending money is not going to build wealth. We have to do something more. And I think it's rewiring our mind to know that this is a standard that you deserve to have, and you're going to do whatever you have to do to start small and build big over time.
So let's talk resources, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some, you mentioned the brokerage account, but I also know that you have a resource, Empify. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that. Like, what's the specific resource? Like, people are going to do this and do what and get what?
So Empify as a company, so we create financial education tools, resources, campaigns, courses, curated events to be able to financially empower the 99% that Wall Street often overlooks. And so we've created programs in school systems. We partner with municipalities, organizations, companies, providing that economic development, that empowerment, that financial education for the people who want to be financially educated, whether it's a child or an adult. We also have our Wealth Builders community platform, which we like to call like the Netflix of finance. It's where adults, thousands of people in over 22 different countries now, have access to the financial tools and resources in the palm of their hand, but also in a community-like environment. So we have events, we have our conferences, we have challenges, we have all types of things, from retirement planning to investing to building a financial legacy, so estate planning, understanding how to invest for your children, how to start small and build big over time, like I always say. And I would say one of the biggest things that we do is take that beginner investor, take that scared person, take that brand new person, don't know what I'm doing, or that person who feels like I'm behind, I don't have a lot, but this looks like a safe place for me to not be judged, but to be loved and also empowered to take the next steps. And so I would say our Wealth Builders community is an environment that the school system forgot to give us, an environment that our family needs at the Thanksgiving dinner table during the holidays, and really shifting people to telling them and celebrating them. Like when they get their first 25-cent dividend, like, hey, we're going to build and we're going to do this together because we do it with you, but we also teach you how to get it done too.
I know this conversation is getting so juicy, but wait real quick, Ashely, because we got to pay some bills, honey. This is not free. We're going to be right back, but you stay put. We'll be right back with more Ashely. And we are back. So Ashely, you were saying?
I would say, because I am a woman, I would say I think about 80% of our members are women. And we do have men, but we are in 22 different countries, which I
love that.
know. So it's people from all over the world. And I always tell people wealth doesn't have a color. Therefore, it looks like all of us, right? And it's really targeting the people who want to learn, who want to grow financially, and just don't know where to go. You can't just walk into the bank that I used to work for and say, hey, come up to our floor and say, hey, I don't have a lot of money. I want to invest. I might not have the best credit. How can you help me? Without trying to offer me just a product, but help me internally, help my family so I can create that financial legacy.
No, I love that. As an educator, I'm like, I love that. So if someone, I'm the budgetnista. Is that a place where someone can start? If you're just like, you're already overspending, this is why you don't have the money to invest. Should people start with a budget? And like, how do you suggest people start to develop a wider financial plan?
So the way I describe it is, I don't even try to get into technicalities. I always ask people, pick a number. Like right now, if you could pick a number every single month that you can set aside just for you, small enough so that you're not overdrawing your bank account, but pushes you enough to make you feel like I'm doing something. What's that number? Because a lot of people say you take up this percentage of your money and you invest this. Sometimes it's not about what the books tells you to do. It's more about, what do you believe you can do? Okay. Because there were points where I believed I could do certain things and I was able to do it, but there were times where the numbers shown that I could get something done, but I wasn't able to do it myself. So I think it's about building the confidence. So I would tell individuals, pick your number. Don't pick the internet's number. Don't pick what I tell you. What is something that works for you? And commit to that. Open the account, set up the automatic deposit, and then start to do your research. And so I think we spend more time trying to pick the company we want and then try to figure out how, or if it's a certain amount of money, I can't afford it. We find all the reasons to create limitations when all you have to do is pick a number. And I would say at least start with $20. There are brokerage accounts that exist now that can allow you to invest with $20. Or if you have $100 and don't overstep, but put yourself in a position to gradually grow. And then every quarter, go through your finances and increase that amount. Little by little, over time, your mind will be trained to increase, to grow, and the money will compound over time.
So if somebody is doing this, and I think one of the reasons why people don't get started because they're so afraid. And so what pitfalls should they just look out for so they can kind of hedge against whatever that fear is?
One, I don't know where the thought you need a lot of money comes from. That's the first thing. You don't need a lot of money. Okay. And I think we have this preconceived perception that is complicated. I would ask all of you to look at the back of a medicine bottle. You probably don't understand what it says either, but if you ask a doctor, it's simple, but you still take the medicine. So I think it's getting out of the weeds and getting into the purpose. Why are you doing this, right? I always tell people too, like, let's say I'm gonna give you $1 million. If you go out and open your brokerage account, find a stock to invest in, do the research, and after you do that, I'll give you $1 million. Ask me, are you gonna do it? Everybody says, yes, of course. So then I say, but what if I don't give you the $1 million, right? How are you, if you're able to do that because I'm driving you with money, are you missing skill or are you missing will? And I think will is something
that's a bar. Okay. She said, are you missing skill or are you missing will? Okay.
So I think we got to do this right. I got to do this, but it's like, no, why are you doing this? Your doubts and your fears and I don't know what I'm doing or I'm scared is coming from these thoughts that we got to quiet down. What about your family? What about making sure you are financially set so you don't have to work for the rest of your life? What about making sure that you can travel the world, do what you want, when you want, because you set yourself up? Isn't that more important than you not knowing how to buy a stock? Because it's possible. And I think for me, because I was around rich people all day, you couldn't tell me I couldn't do this. They started with $100 million. I just started with $100. But I knew that I could grow into that. And so getting out of your mind and getting into your heart, getting into the purpose behind why this is important. Because if I can go buy stocks, and I've been kicked out of places before, I have lost everything. I've been through so much. And it's like, even when I didn't have a lot, I still was setting aside $10. Even when I didn't, even when the world didn't know Empify existed, I still knew I could get this done. And that is an Ashely thing. So I think if we focus on that, I'm going to do this regardless. If you put yourself in an environment that amplifies your greatness, not forces you to feel like you're not good enough. And sometimes that's your family, right? So putting yourself in an environment that pushes you to grow, put yourself in an environment of investors. And I think that's why our Wealth Builders community is so important, because the same feelings you felt is how they felt when they got here. But there are people that have portfolios of $20,000, $30,000 and they started at Empify. And so it's like, if I can do this, I know you can do that. And I'm not afraid to start small, and I'm going to celebrate you because of that. So if we quiet the voices and do what we want and know that one, investing is not an emotional game, right? You got to get out your feelings. Oh my gosh, I lost. No, get out your feelings. You are not buying a price. You're buying a business. You're becoming part owner in a company, and get clear on your time horizon. I think we're so busy wanting to get rich quick. And it's like, this is a long-term wealth, generation after generation game. If that's what matters to you, that's the game we have to play.
As someone who, this is my last question for you, like if someone's watching this and they're like, I tried and I lost, and I know you've lost, can you just give them some word of encouragement of like, how do you get back at it after you've lost?
You want to be honest? First, I think we could go to therapy.
Okay.
I learned a lot about myself and my money problems, getting to the root of where the problems came from. Why did I not think I was good enough? Why was I on Wall Street thinking that I wasn't like the people I was serving and I couldn't do this? Why did I doubt myself? Why is it that I'm afraid to have money, that I sabotage opportunities? And so think about also how you were raised. A lot of times we tell ourselves we can't because our parents told us we couldn't. And so getting really good at knowing you and getting back up. I always tell people, if you are here right now, you are undefeated at life. There has been nothing that has stopped you. You have made it through every trial and tribulation. So what makes this any different? You're still here. But I also would challenge people to not look at it as if it's a setback. Look at it as an opportunity to teach you something. You made a mistake the first time. Let's write down the glows and grows. What went well and where do you need to grow? And let's take that information and try again. But quitting is not an option if, in fact, financial security and financial ease for yourself and your family is your number one priority. Now, if it's not, then maybe you can quit. But if you want to change your life financially, it is a non-negotiable. At this point, we have to do everything we can, and the person in the mirror is the only person that's going to save you. It's not a president, there's not a government, there's not a school system. So you have to trust the person in the mirror. I trust the person in the mirror, but I need you to trust and love the person in the mirror, because if you believe that, you can do whatever you want. including building wealth.
So what are some like tangible tips that people can do to build and keep their wealth?
I'm a firm believer that what got you here won't get you there. So the Ashely that opened her first brokerage account, bought her first stock, automatically deposited money, is not the same Ashely that can sustain herself with the wealth that she's built. And so when it comes to building the wealth, one is cultivating the right environment, getting the right people in your corner. So if we're going to talk about really building wealth, you're going to need an attorney, you're going to need an accountant, you're going to need somebody who can help you with your money, which it's not always a financial advisor, but it is someone who's educating you and guiding you to make financial decisions on your own. Because I'm a firm believer, you can't pay somebody to do something and you have no idea what they are doing. And so I encourage that. But having people who are speaking the language of money, I always say, like, in order for you to build wealth, you have to become fluent in a language. Therefore, you have to read it, you have to speak it, and you have to be around it. And so really building that infrastructure. But it's not just about making money, right? It's about what are we doing to preserve it, right? What are we doing to make sure we pay as little amount of tax as possible? Sometimes I'm not saying you might be an accountant, but I would prefer to pay someone who loves what they do, who's an expert in that area, because the more money you make, the more taxes you're going to make. And I always tell people, what if we had a $1 million tax bill? Like, let's strive to have a $1 million tax bill, not get a tax refund, and getting yourself into that space. So having a good accountant as well. But also getting into a space where you start surrounding yourself around people who have the type of money you want and or have, because the conversations are different. You get to a point where you need someone helping you manage your money. You need someone helping you do your financials, your books, but also getting into a space, how do we protect it, right? I always tell people, you can build this big old mansion. You're laying the foundation, but what happens if something happens to the builder? What happens to your family? Are we doing this just because we want money, or do we have children? Do we have a legacy?
Ashely, I'm like, pass the collection, please, people. Okay, this is amazing. So in the end, I always like, the teacher in me likes to kind of recap for those people who are like, all right, how do I pull this all together? What's the lesson that I took away? And you get to decide if I get an A or not. A. Okay. You ready? Okay. So here's what I learned about wealth building from Ashely. And this is the surprise thing, which I'm really delighted by. That wealth building starts in the mind first. Mm-hmm. That it requires a mindset shift before there's any sort of money shift. And that you might have to dive a little deeper with a therapist. Certainly there might be some mirror work, but mindset first. Second, that doubting yourself is the reason why you don't have. It is not a capability issue. It might be a confidence issue, and that you are not to do it alone, that there are tools and resources like Empify and communities available that you can navigate your wealth building journey with. And if you do that, and if you keep at it, and you realize that you're already winning because you're still here, then you can and will grow wealth over time. How did I do?
A+, girl. A+.
I don't got BS. Oh my God, thank you so much, Ashely, for coming on today and coming on the show. Don't forget, to lean into Ashely's Empify. Where can they find Empify? Where can they find you?
So online, empify.com, empify.com, and on social media, Empify everywhere, but also _Ashely M Fox, and that's across all platforms.
Well, I am Tiffany the Budgetnista Aliche, one of your favorite financial educators. And if you need any other financial resources, you can also find them at getgoodwithmoney.com and the Money Glow Up. We are here every single Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you stream your podcasts. And of course, at yahoofinance.com. I will see you next week. But remember this, that if you want to grow wealth, it starts in the mind first. See you soon.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.